Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Dr. Meenal, for the kind introduction, and welcome, Dr. Dhruvi. So we have limited audience to start with today morning, and I welcome you again on behalf of Diabetes India for this first time initiative of Diabetes Asia Study Group School. And we have in the august presence of Dr. Ajad Khan, who is the current chair of IDF Southeast Asia, is sitting here. Dr. Sanjay Kalra is one of the senior endocrinologists of India, past president of ESI. He is also here. So I think in this session, we wanted to discuss how to set up a diabetes clinic. And we wanted not to show you multiple slides, but to have more interaction. That what is your idea of a ideal diabetes care clinic? What are the components? What should be the components of such a clinic? At what level you are already doing diabetes practice, and how can you elevate it and add multiple components to it? So can we have some thoughts to start with? That what do you think? What should be the component of a diabetes clinic? Anyone from the participants, because this is going to be kind of a more workshop rather than didactic lecture. So,
First of all, the doctor was confident in managing case of diabetes.
so I think this is what the DSG school is doing, because for the last, you had almost 6 hours of intense session in which you discussed that how to, you discussed different nuances of managing diabetes and improved your knowledge. So now it is time to set up a clinic. So when you go back and look back at your practice, so how you, what are the components which you are going to change, how you are going to set up such a clinic. So it is just a formal, informal discussion, so you can come up with your thoughts and ideas. There is no problem with that. You may not be right all the time. So Wahid, can you start with your comments and all? Right. So first thing is strengthening and enhancing your own knowledge, and I must congratulate all of you because you have taken efforts and pain to do that. That is why you are part of this DSG school. And learning and strengthening your knowledge is an ongoing process, so it is never going to stop. So every day is a new learning, so it is not going to be complete any day, but at some point you need to start. So you need to update yourself regularly. That is why the importance of attending such meetings, conferences, seminars, and that is why the importance of attending online programs, meeting with the peers, because you sometimes you may not be doing something, but your peers are doing something, and you'll catch up those things from them. So what is your take on this, Ruby? What is your idea?
So we've only been trained to do medical practice. Once again, good morning, everybody. When I say this, that the idea of setting up a diabetes care clinic not just requires us as medicos to have a training, but also an acumen towards business. It requires an all-round training. And quite often, amongst our own peer group, Amit sir, we've been listening continuously that somehow, in spite of being a good clinician, it does not convert into the exact amount of business as, compared to the other colleagues. Today's workshop, I'm going to request you all to take a pen and paper. There will be a couple of questions. I would request you all to just jot down your own answers, just for your own purpose. It'll be a very good exercise. Go back home, read those. You may or may not be sharing those thoughts out loud with us, but there will be a lot of questions which will help and contribute to, setting up a diabetes care clinic maybe back home.
So first thing is yourself. You have to be there in your clinic. Second thing is setting up a team. So what should be the component of a diabetes care team? So anyone? So do you have a dietitian or a diabetes educator in your clinic at this point of time? Yes. How many? Can we see show of hands? Yes. So, so let us ask that how does this having a dietitian or a diabetes educator in your clinic helps you? So Dr. Brijmohan, would you like to say something about that?
Thank you, Amit. Diabetes educator or dietitian helps in number of ways. One, as the name suggests, the diet counseling. Second, when we need to start insulin, telling about the drugs, possible side effects, hypoglycemia. These all things need to be instructed by dietitian or diabetes educator.
So thank you, sir, for your comments. So let me share my feedback with you. I have a diabetes educator as well as a dietitian with me. And let me tell you, she does more work than me because it is like sharing a responsibility. So if you want to set up a diabetes clinic, then please think of having a team where you are educating each and every person in your team. That may be a diabetes nurse, it can be a diabetes educator, he or she can be a dietitian. Then your physician assistant is also a very, very important component. So sometime like you have seen many technologies yesterday, like putting up a CGM, taking data from a CGM, printing reports of the CGM. Sometime you may not be available for each and every answer. So if you have a team which can work with you, assist with you, and is knowledgeable. So building the knowledge of the team is equally important. So first thing is yourself, strengthening your own knowledge, enhancing your own knowledge, and then building up the team. So a team can have multiple components, but having a diabetes educator, a physician assistant, somebody who can, if you are having some keen research in, interest in research as well, then probably having someone for the research will again help you in understanding your own data.
So, sir, if I may, I'll just ask them to answer a couple of questions. So now, write down on that paper that we request you to, what is the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear a diabetes care clinic? And that will actually answer what Dr. Amit sir just asked you guys. Just take a moment, take 30 seconds, write down an actual answer, and then, we'll ask your opinions. Yes, please.
Good morning. In my opinion, diabetes care clinic would be a comprehensive place in which all aspects of the diabetes, along with the medical examination, maybe foot examination, physiotherapy if required, dietitian, and all aspects will be covered.
I agree with you, and these should be component of an ideal diabetes care clinic. Totally agree.
Thank you.
Somebody else wanting to contribute to that answer? What's somebody else? Yes, please.
First thing that comes to my mind is just type 2 diabetes. As soon as we listen to a diabetes care clinic, the approach is always type 2 diabetes when we know there are just too many types. So maybe even specifying the clinic's speciality in it. Even diagnosis, I would say, could be a part of your team in a diabetes care clinic, because it's very difficult to diagnose the kind of diabetes also. So as soon as it's diabetes care clinic, we tend towards type 2 diabetes when we know there much more.
I so agree with you. A lot of us, when we think about diabetes, we think type 2 diabetes. But again, such platforms wherein learning plays a very important role, that diabetes is not just type 2. It could be a varied different spectrum of diabetes that we need to take care, learn ourselves and train the team that we are using as a multidisciplinary team in our diabetes care clinic. Amit sir, what's your take on this?
I agree with you because, and I don't think there is anything wrong with that, because more than 95% of the people, they are going to have type 2 diabetes only. So it justifies that even if you are making it a type 2 diabetes management center, but type 1 diabetes management requires a totally different skill set. And if you are comfortable enough to, and if you have time to devote, because if you want to do type 1 diabetes care, then it will need a lot of time. Because handling such patients, people living with type 1 diabetes, will require a lot of time to explain the things, to guide them regarding the insulin therapy, to monitor the data. At the same time, they will also require proper hand holding. So if you don't have that kind of setup, probably you will feel that you are not making any difference, and your type 1 diabetes patients are treated just like you are treating type 2 diabetes patients.
May I add something to that? Time and again, it was Banshi sir and Dr. Vipul sitting over here. They have had this discussion. You have to come out of the physician mindset. I've heard this so many times. Even Rajiv Chawla sir, Amit sir, he's been telling us that coming out of that mindset and then trying to focus on a disease aspect, which is a chronic care disease, thinking from a point of view that the person coming to you requires a lifelong management and not thinking of it from just an acute therapy modality is something that will take a little training, that will take a little time. And that's the first thing that you have to train yourself with is the mindset. Do you have the mindset to practice chronic care medicine? And that is where the first thought of diabetes care clinic, plunges up, sir.
And it is not necessary that it is your private practice, because we encourage you, if you are working in a government institute, you are working in a government hospital, in a government medical college, again you can set up a diabetes clinic there. And many of you, I believe, are working in such kind of setups where you are in public sector as well. So you can set up a diabetes clinic, and I believe Dr. Ajad Khan is one of the best person to ask, because there is a dedicated diabetes hospital in Bangladesh. Sir, would you like to comment something on your experiences and message to the DSG school members?
Oh, well, thank you for asking me to see what we do in Bangladesh, you see. Number one, I think diabetic clinic should be a part of a general hospital. You see, if it is isolated, then people with diabetes, they also may have other disease, number one. Diabetes, you can call it the mother of all diseases. It affects all systems of the body. In our days, in our medical college, we were taught that learn syphilis, then you will know medicine, because it affects all systems. So that can be said for diabetes today. So that's one thing. So there must be facilities for looking after other things. All this focused on diabetes. Or there should be a referral, pre-arranged referral, that if you come here, if you have other disease, we have links. That's one. But anyhow, I will not make a speech, but I will just word one thing. At the present day, with what you call electronic communication, there should be a method of looking after diabetes, including his education, nutrition, online. Because at one time, even in Bangladesh, we were counting success, that how many times the patient came to the clinic. Now we measure success that at no visit, whether we can keep them in good control. So that's it. Because it is possible, it can be done. If you educate and you have got the things to electronic linkage, you of course need high-speed internet connection, you see. I had the privilege of visiting in Calcutta one of the clinic in Sundarban, and they were saying that they can't find any doctor there, you see, there. So I advise them, you just ask the government to put a high-speed internet. And even a paramedic can look after, and the doctor in Calcutta can supervise them. I hope that I haven't taken too much time. Thank you.
I think your feedbacks are very important, because telehealth is again a very important component. So now I will request Dhruvi that you proceed with your presentation, then we leave next few minutes for the discussion. Maybe we will have more discussion after your presentation.
Sure. Thank you, sir. Thank you. That was a wonderful insight. Yes, sir.
Well, I don't know detail about in India, you see. In Bangladesh, main inhibition or block is from physicians. They don't want to refer patient to the educators, you see. Education is a special art or science, whatever you call. I'm not saying the doctor don't know it, but they may not know it as well as a good educator. That's number one. It's how to deliver the message, number one. And neither the doctor has the time, you see, to do it. So this is one really what you call innovation that, and we have not been able to get over that in a private care setting, you see, where doctors are concerned that they don't lose patients, you see.
Thank you, sir. It was really enlightening. See, these are some examples. If you're here in Ahmedabad, if you're in Delhi, if you're somewhere else, there are examples of diabetes care setups which you can physically go visit and have a feel of how they have been set up. My next exercise for all of you, again with a paper and pen, is going to request you to define your vision and mission. Think about it. Again, take a minute, write it down. What, as a diabetologist, let's call ourselves that in the entire group, what is your vision? What is your mission? Take 30 seconds, write that down on a piece of paper, go back home and execute that. I'll give you 30 seconds till then. And in the meantime, again, if somebody wants to, just stand up and share that, again, by attending this school, has the vision changed for you from what it was previously? Generally, with diabetes care setups, again, the first significant point that all of us think about is the person with diabetes. We no longer call them patients, but still the scientific and the medical terminologies everywhere talk about a patient-centric approach. And that's the first scientific focus or a vision or a mission that you should have. Like we all just discussed, like Sir just gave his insights to us, incorporating education, having a diabetes educator who not just takes care of that person with diabetes, but also unloads. You delegate your task of education to a diabetes educator who can have the compassion, not sympathy, but empathy towards that person with a chronic care disease. Again, look at the last two words. They are prevention and advanced management. Science is always evolving. We can never be in the same place every year. You have to always update yourself with every evolution that is taking place in the field of science and the field of medicine. Read, collaborate with people across the world. We are the entire Asia Study Group population over here. Learn from each other, and let us also talk along with that about preventive medicine. Type 2 diabetes, like we just discussed, is one of the major preventable conditions which can, when given proper education, the person with a high risk of diabetes can be prevented from any sort of complications or onset of diabetes as well. The next exercise, again, for all of you, there is something known as a market analysis. With a raise of hands, how many of us from the Indian diaspora? Yes, please. I'm not asking you to make a noise, it's just a raise of hands, right? How many from the, other diaspora, let's say Middle East side? How many of us from the Southeast Asian population? How many of us? Yes. 1, 2. So market analysis of your particular geography, of your particular area is going to matter for all of you. We need to identify our target demographics. We need to know what is the prevalence of the condition that we are going to treat in our population. We need to have a geographical specific for India, west, north, east, south. For somebody from Bangladesh, for somebody from the Southeast Asian population, you need to have the know-how of your own geography and understand what is the best place and the location for you to initiate a center which is going to not just benefit the current population, but also prevent the next upcoming population from having the condition that we are all talking about. Understand your competition as well. We don't much talk about that, but as a person who is taking care of such a large diaspora, you have to think of your competition as well as who else could be your team. Like Sir said, a diabetes care clinic needs to be in a general medicine hospital. You need to know what are your other unique service opportunities. As a diabetologist, you will need referrals of the other super specialty as well. How many? I'll start with this row. What do you think would be the first referral point that you would require? Just say cardio, nephro, neuro, what else? Speak up, yeah. Just one specialty, one word, one specialty. Ophthalm, nephro, Primary care disease, okay. Surgeon, okay. Cardio. Nephro. Dentist, wonderful. Next. Psychiatrist, yes. What else? Sorry? We got the ophthalmologist on board now. Everyone. So that's the unique opportunity that we are talking about. We are going to need all of these. In spite and despite of taking care of the hyperglycemic status, we know that these people are going to develop complications come what may. The more you're doing your job better, the lesser will be, the unique service opportunities that we are talking about, but they will require screening, they will require specialized services. And these are the specialities that you can collaborate with and work with, again, to have a proper diabetes care setup. Now look at these slides. I don't know why this is being cut off over here. This is a slide which is in entirety. Just look at the market analysis. These are all older slides from, if you guys know, there is an entire diabetes digital market analysis. You just have to Google that and you will get all of that analysis on, just one click. These are huge analyses which tell you why opening a diabetes care setup is not just in the favor of us as clinicians, but also for the other super specialties that we just talked about. You just look at the numbers, they are in billions. That is why diabetes is also a public health issue. As a person with diabetes, he or she is expending huge amounts of money per month and also per annum and contributing to the economy in a negative way. In the public healthcare sectors, it is a burden for them to take care of a person with diabetes. The figures are in billions, and again, these are older statistics. Let's write a second thing. Just write what location you are thinking about when you want to open your diabetes care center. Let me also request you to name your diabetes care center. On the top of your paper, write the name of your diabetes care center. You may or may not change it later on. Think of the location you want to set it up in. Think of the first basic requirements that you will have. A cabin, yourself, a stethoscope, a glucometer. What else? These are the first 4 things in my mind. Somebody else wanting to... BP instrument, a sphygmomanometer. Yes, that's the BP instrument. Weighing machine. Ma'am, somebody else. A stadiometer. Yes, from this side, from the back side, please. Height, yes, stadiometer, ma'am said that. Next. Monofilament, yes. Pulse oximeter, yes. A measuring tape for the waist circumference. Next. Ophthalmoscope. Then you'll require special training to look at the fundus. There are biothesiometer, yes. Weighing machine, we got that first. Handheld Doppler, okay, fair. Again, you have to train yourself. These are special modalities. Now AI has made it possible that there are non-dilated ophthalmoscopes, there are proper handheld Doppler wherein you might or may not have a proper training for that. Anybody else with anything? A PC, an ECG machine. Then? Sorry? Pen and paper, absolutely. Next? A pad, all right. So there are a lot of... एक receptionist भी चाहिए, एक receptionist भी चाहिए, एक educator also you need a nutritionist, you need a proper housekeeping staff as well. When you open a clinic, you will need a proper person for the biomedical waste also, you will need proper bags for that also, proper disposal of sharps also you will have to talk about. These are all very small things that you come to know when you are starting to pay the bills for all of this. Technicians you will need. So all of these are your points that you can, note down, go back home whenever you think of executing those. The second thing is a space requirement. What is the smallest space can you think of to open a diabetes care setup? What is the largest space you can think of? I understand it in square feet. Or sometimes, I just ask my partner, how much do you think is that square feet in terms of our house? And he'll tell me that this is the square feet. 500 to 600, fair enough. So one OPD, one another small one, and one, say, examination couch and diagnostic area. All right, fair. What could be the largest one that somebody can think of?
Largest has no cap.
Largest has no cap. Exactly. So we've seen diabetes care setups which are 3 floors, 4 floors, 5 floors, and then we've seen very composite and a comprehensive diabetes care setup like Dr. Vikranti will, maybe if you're interested and you request her, she'll take you to a setup like that. And even in 500, 600 square feet, you can have a very comprehensive unit. The next thing is healthcare regulations. Registering your clinic with the appropriate authorities in your country, in your state, and getting it properly licensed. You need a C form when it comes to Gujarat. I think with the other parts as well, you require that. Registering yourself, maybe getting it accredited or collaborated with a center of excellence, having a mentor that can teach you to have the center in a very systematic manner, having a SOP, having a protocol for your newly diagnosed type 2 patient, for your newly diagnosed type 1 patient, for your females with hyperglycemia. All of these are very small nitty-gritties that you have to consider when you open your own center. Anybody would like to, somebody who's just recently opened their diabetes care center? Nobody? Anybody who's thinking of opening it in the next 6 months to 1 year? Yes. 2, 3, amazing. 4, nice, nice. See, these are the control protocols because everywhere the medical legal things are the first thing that you want to look at. First, go back home and look at all of those regulations and all of those protocols that need to be executed, and do not ignore that quality control and quality check for our staff, for ourselves, for the regulatory authorities. There are regular renewals of all of these which need to be looked at. Sometimes what happens is you never know when to renew it and it is just lying around there. Now, this is another exercise. List 3 essential features of a dream diabetes care clinic. Don't restrict yourselves. Write down the first 3 essentials that come to your mind when you think of a state-of-art, your dream diabetes care clinic. Patient, patient, patient. That is very important. That is very important. Somebody else with another dream idea or dream essential? AI driven. Okay, amazing. Patient, research and education. Amazing. Okay. That's your diabetes care clinic. You can have a mermaid in your clinic and it's fine. Somebody to, say, call the people up for follow-ups? Like, that is covered in the patient, like Kareena Kapoor. Good looks, good looks, good looks.
I would want a summer camp.
You would want a summer camp. Amazing. Okay. And summer camp for who? For the type 1s, for the type 2s, for the adults, for the kids, for the mothers?
Summer camp, बच्चे के लिए and mothers maybe, but weekends या फिर long holidays for type 2s.
Well, great. Weekend camps. Her diabetes care center, that's her essential. Go back, look at these and aim for the highest always. Aim for the best always. This is what is going to drive you to set up the best diabetes care center for yourself. Some essential services to offer. Number 1 is diabetes screening and diagnosis. It's not just the people with diabetes coming to your center, it is also their relatives that need education. It is also their parents, their kids, their spouses who require diabetes screening and diagnosis, who require the education that you might equally be at a risk of diabetes, and please screen yourself. And that screening technique, maybe through a point of care, just a glucometer, getting an HbA1c done, educating them, or there is a diabetes risk score. just calculating that diabetes risk score is also something that is important. Another thing, like somebody already contributed, technology. Making it the latest and the most advanced tech center could also be one of the essentials for people. But learn how to use that. Whenever we are prescribing a certain technology to a person with diabetes, you yourself need to justify the use of that in that person for the management. Insulin management, lifestyle counseling, nutrition management, exercise, stress management. Somebody said we need to have a psychiatrist, we need to have somebody who's a counselor, and also complication screening, monofilament, biothesiometer, handheld Doppler, or fundoscope. All of these are some very basic things that you can keep a technician in your place, train him or her. There are point of care urine ACR devices, there are point of care A1C devices, which you can include into your center. This is a simple pathway, look at the equipments that are there here. Sir already told us about an EHR usage. A simple Excel sheet also works. Not expending, there are a lot of EHR that are freely available, but if not, there are simple Excel sheets, putting in basic data set, the name, anthropometric data, number, email address of that person for your own purpose. The first baseline reports, the first baseline, say, body composition, what prescription did the person have prior to your clinic visit? What did you prescribe? How did it make a difference after 3 months or 6 months? All of these are some very, very basic things that you can use in your OPDs. There are a lot of patient care pathways. I've also taken it from the internet. These are very easy to follow pictures that you can replicate into your center. You can have a consulting center. Starting from a reception, you can have a consulting center. The person can go to a smaller diagnostic unit, get the point of care or actual lab blood collection. You can recommend an ECG, you can recommend a fundoscope, you can recommend a neuropathy screening, you can recommend all of these into a diagnostic center or a smaller unit also, or a smaller space also. At our places, we have a smaller section specifically dedicated for these screening purposes. The person can come back to an educator or a counselor who explains the importance of these reports, who explains the importance of these screening. When do they need to repeat this? That is also more important. It's not just for this one moment, it's not just for this one today. When do you need to get yourself repeated for a fundus examination? When do you need to repeat your foot examination? When do you need to repeat your ECG? When do you need to repeat your urine ACR? All of these are important to be educated or counseled to the person with diabetes. And then, of course, you being the most important person of the entire system, explaining, reinstating the entire importance of the system to that person is going to give you better patient outcomes, better follow-up. The person in a democratic country like India, they are free to go, window shopping for doctors also, and we see that quite often. What you have to have is the correct empathy and the correct scientific approach to that person. Give your all in, and just have the patient do a proper SMBG, and self-care is what you have to teach that person. How do you take care of yourself at home is what you have to teach that person. Again, another answer for all of you to write down on your papers. What service do you think your person with diabetes will find most valuable? Out of the entire advanced AI technology, the plethora of screening tests that we talked about, what is the most valuable service that your person with diabetes will find? Easy access to doctor. Do you think you will be easily accessible? I don't know. I have a question to that. Would you be picking up phones when that person is trying to talk to you? My opinion, yours can be different. Somebody else? Free blood sugar screening. Okay. Write it down. That's your own notes. Somebody else? Diet and lifestyle management. Okay. Somebody else?
Explain all strategies, to give time to the patient to explain all the strategies.
giving time to the patient. I have an opinion on that, a very strong one. I feel, on an average, if you are able to see, say, 25 or 30 patients per day, you will not be able to spend more than 5-10 minutes to the max with a person. Is that going to add value? Because people sometimes have so many questions, they will want you to answer, "Can I apple kha sakta hu? Can I have a banana?" They'll want you to answer that. Offering the best prescription and leaving it onto the patient whether they want to follow it or not. Fair, okay. Somebody else? There's no right answer. It's just for all of us to understand and learn from each other. Yes. I learned that the very hard way. You have to listen. You can't just be writing that. You have to listen, give them the time. So across different, times of years of practices, she also said time, you also said time, he also said listening. So we are coming to a consensus that time is very valuable. Yes, sir? Post-effectiveness of treatment. Well, sir, you have an... Sanjay, sir.
What is most valuable is the human touch, because that's why people come to us. If you don't have the human touch, if you don't have empathy, there are lots of places to get treatment from online.
Thank you. So I think the most valuable then, according to the consensus, is time, human touch, empathy. Use that into your practice when you go back home. Write that as the biggest valuable thing that you have to incorporate when you go back home. Something else, and we are completely skipping the entire thing and going to technology, which is inhuman, but integrating technology along with that empathetic doctor who is seeing and understanding the situation. Somebody coming to you is, pouring in their most vulnerable part, telling you their most, weakest signs and symptoms. You will have to show them that you understand what they are saying. You will have to reassure them continuously that you are understanding what the trouble is, what the sign and symptom is, and then looking at it from a scientific point of time. It requires a lot of, mental exercise on our part as well to not get that personal with that person that you are showing sympathy, but yet have that actual empathy to make the person comfortable in your presence that he or she can come back to you again. This is one of the market surveys again, which is telling that integrating of technology is going to increase your revenue. A very important word which we shy away from talking as doctors is revenue. We are very uncomfortable talking money. I understand that it is a very noble profession, but we also need to earn our bread. We also need to talk about the revenue system. So one of the market surveys does talk about that integrating technology is going to contribute or accelerate your revenue by almost 10%. So again, don't shy away from maybe going to a senior practitioner and asking him or her, how have you increased your revenue? How have you increased your patient flow? How can I add to my existing system to help myself generate a certain number? Don't shy away from talking that. Another thing is a team building. What we are doing right now is interacting with each other, learning from each other. You will have to do the same when you go back home and you build your own team. You will be the leader of that team. You will have to talk to those that you are hiring, maybe starting from the receptionist to the counselor, to a physician assistant, to a housekeeping staff as well. You will be a leader of that team that you're leading. All of these are your core strength. A person might come to you because you're a good doctor, but a person might go away if your reception staff is not good, if your nursing staff is not responding properly to the queries. You might have an extended team, the specialists, the super specialists that we talked about, the ophthalmologist, the pathologist, the psychiatrist, the neuro, the nephro, the cardio. Everybody is your extended team. And continuous training. I so often hear, sometimes I complain about my own team, to my partner and he says, you need to train them. You cannot complain about them if you're not training them well as to what you're expecting out of them. You will have to tell them that this is a 100 IU syringe, this is a 40 IU syringe. You will have to tell them on not reusing the insulin syringes. You have to tell them that you have to teach the same thing to the people with diabetes whenever you're prescribing insulin. Rotation of sites, storage of medications, rechecking the medications when they come back from the pharmacy are all a part of continuous training for your staff, for the team that you're building. Again, another question, and we've got just a couple of minutes left. So now write down what are the digital tools that you have seen so far yesterday and today that you're so impressed you want to incorporate them in your diabetes care. Very quickly, 10 seconds, we'll write that down and we'll move on. CGM? The newest glucometers? There is an AI stethoscope as well that tells you that this is the murmur, this might be the diagnosis. The handheld Doppler, the non-Mydriatic, ophthalmoscope, all of these. But we end and we come back to the one simple thing. You have to have a patient-centered approach. You cannot cook the same food for everybody. You need to communicate yourself well. You need to have some amount of empathy, but still keep that distance. In our community as Southeast Asians, across our all geographies, that is very important that you have to be strong in putting your point. I just read a very important thing that do you think that your person or your patient is coming back to you because you were just empathetic, or were you very sure enough of the prescription that you were writing, or because you gave what he wanted? Sometimes patients go to other doctors because they feel that you were not strong enough or you did not believe in yourself when you wrote that prescription. So make sure that you have that confidence in yourself, learn, educate yourself, and train your staff as well. This is an ongoing process that never stops. Another important thing is patient education workshops and some community outreach programs. Like we had the idea of those camps. There are different community workshops that you can do in the periphery of your geography for, again, good inflow of patients. And we cannot, again, shy away how they are going to contribute to the revenue system. A very important thing, again, we don't talk about this often, the financial and the operational planning. We'll have to accept it that we are not trained for this, we are not the best people for it. Get help. Get a team member who understands finance, or just hire somebody for a ad hoc basis and talk to them about how budgeting and funding sources can help your system. Talk to people about insurance partnerships that can be made. Talk about proper billing systems. Talk about proper taxation systems. And talk about sustainable pricing models. You cannot be doing charity all the time. A lot of people have told me that charity begins at home. Again, my partner really differs. We are two people practicing in the same place. And he tells me that do not do charity in your own place. You want to do it? Do community outreach programs, do educational workshops, but do not do it in your own place. So sustainable pricing models for sustenance of yourself as well as your system is something that we all need to accept and do. Marketing. There are a whole lot of medical legalities when it comes to marketing of doctors for everybody. Look at social media, have your own website, talk about customer reviews, do your own blogs, talk about tele-diabetology, but put yourselves out there in a manner that you are doing a proper marketing of your own system. I end with talking about research collaborations. We are a huge group of people with varied interest in different sectors of diabetology. Collaborate with each other, talk to each other, share your research ideas, and you can come out with best of the best research for diabetes. This is almost one of my ending slides. Plan, provide proper services, have a good team, incorporate technology, keep the focus on the patient, and also do not forget the operation and the planning. Diabetes care clinics are more than medical facilities. They are centers of hope because you are taking care of a person with a chronic care or a chronic condition. They are going to come to you day in and day out, say at least 3 times or 4 times a year. Make sure you are building some sort of a bond with them. With the right foundation, your clinic can make a lasting impact. So with that, I am going to request Meenal ma'am to take it up again.